Hello and welcome. I'm Eun Yang. In the month of May, we celebrate Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. We're here at the beautiful Freer and Sackler galleries in the Smithsonian, two museums dedicated to Asian art. Today, we'll explore some of the galleries here, and we'll also find out about some special exhibitions. May is a time when we pay tribute to Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who've greatly enriched this country's history. Today, we'll share the stories of musicians, artists, chefs, and authors who have deep roots in the Washington area. But first, Asian Americans make up the fastest growing minority community in the United States. And with the changing demographic, their contributions as well as their concerns continues to grow. Immigration reform stands at the forefront of the issues affecting the community in our region and across the country.
Okay.
Vicki, too, owns a small jewelry store in Northern Virginia. She works 6 days a week, putting in long hours each day.
I love my job, that I think I feel good when I do my job,
Tu immigrated to the U.S. more than 30 years ago, and it took her and her family over a decade to come to this country legally.
I used to wait at least like 10 to 15 years.
Many Asian Americans in this country face the same long wait times to bring over their families today. Mi Moa is the president and executive director of the Asian American Justice Center.
These are people who have sent in the application, have done all the right things, and the visas are just not available, and so they're waiting these inhumanely long backlog wait times.
Moa says any conversation about immigration reform needs to include a focus on family unification.
It is the small mom and pop corner store businesses. It is the professional two-income earning families like us, where our families are so critical as that network of support that we need to be able to contribute, right, to our economy and to the success of this nation.
Moa says giving Asian American families the opportunity to reunite with each other in the U.S. will not only benefit the families themselves, but as a collective, contribute to the economy of this country as a whole. Vicki, too, remains hopeful for change.
For me, I try to do my best every day.
Immigration reform draws passionate response from people on both sides of the issue. Next, North Korea is called a hermit kingdom for a reason. Little is known about the people, the leadership, and the country. Few Americans have seen the stories of torture, famine, and sex trafficking firsthand. Mike Kim is one of them. He's from Arlington, and his story of how he's trying to help North Koreans escape is extraordinary. He talks to our Angie Goff.
Of course, is the situation in North Korea.
It's rare we go a day without seeing North Korea in the news. It's often talk of nuclear threats, missile tests, possible miscalculation of the country's young leader, Kim Jong-un. But there's one headline we hardly hear about: the oppression, starvation, torture of a people raised to love country no matter what. There's also the unbelievable humanitarian effort to help them. People like Mike Kim, who put their life on the line to free them.
Thought that, I've got to do something to help, so I sold, everything I had and bought a one-way ticket to China.
That river at the bottom is the Tumen River that divides the two countries, China and North Korea.
It was New Year's Day 2003, the beginning of what would become a 4-year journey living and hiding on the China-North Korea border. Kim's decision to help people escape the North was inspired after his first trip to China, where he just wanted to see the Great Wall. But he ended up meeting a North Korean refugee, a girl he couldn't forget.
I learned of her story at 16 years, escaping North Korea looking for food in China, being abducted by sex traffickers.
What he learned next blew him away. People like that girl escaping, making their way through a modern-day underground railroad, 6,000 miles long, a secret route that till this day runs from China through Laos and Thailand.
This modern-day underground railroad that resembles what we had during the Civil War, used to help slaves escape to the north.
Kim had found his calling, but knowing the danger, he lied to family and friends, telling them he was off to the Far East to become an expert in a rare form of North Korean Taekwondo, considered one of the country's biggest exports.
I trained so hard that they eventually believed me that, I think this guy's really here to learn the North Korean style of Taekwondo.
Secretly, he was working with friends to create Crossing Borders, a nonprofit stationed at the border. Kim says surprisingly many escape with a dangerous plan to one day return.
They They say, I want to go back to my country and help my people, my family, my friends.
In his book, Escaping North Korea, Kim writes about close calls, including being held at gunpoint. But you still kept helping. Why?
Once you see and meet the people, it's hard to turn your back on them.
In this video, Kim is seen taking a North Korean girl shopping for the first time.
And one of our favorite things was just to help them, give them shelter, education, take them out to the park, play with them.
Over the last decade, crossing borders has helped thousands escape.
Some people say this is one of the top pieces of work on North Korea.
These days, Kim spends his time in Washington, advocating for the cause so close to his heart.
If more people know, will more people help us? And I said, yes, that's the idea. And she said, then please tell my story to as many people as you can.
Kim's powerful story could soon make it to the big screen. Right now, he's in serious talks with some of Hollywood's biggest producers to turn his book, Escaping North Korea, into a movie. Kim says aside from the glitz and glamour, he sees this as an opportunity, a chance to tell the stories of so many who continue to suffer and those who risk their lives every day to save them.
Angie, thank you. Joining me now is Daisy Wang, who is the Chinese art specialist here at the Freer and Sackler Museums. Thanks for joining us today. Now, these two museums are somewhat of a hidden treasure within the Smithsonian. Can you tell me a little bit about what the Freer and Sackler are all about?
The Freer Gallery of Art and Arthur M. Sackler Gallery form the National Museum of Asian Art, and we're part of the Smithsonian. So when you emerge out of the metro station, the Smithsonian stop, the first thing you will see is a Freer Gallery. And as the National Museums of Asian Art, we have a fabulous collection. We have about 40,000 pieces.
Can you tell me a little bit about Xu Bing's Phoenix collection? I know that's going to be very popular.
Absolutely. One of the things I love about exhibition is I love the artist Xu Bing. He was here 10 years ago and he created for the gallery very famous piece, The Monkeys Grasping the Moon. So his idea was really to look at the idea of language and also the idea of communication. So he created about 21 monkeys, each represent a specific word or a character in a language, and he linked them together.
Right. And what about the new Phoenix exhibit?
Oh, this is very exciting. Let me tell you something about the exhibition and about his project. So basically, he has created 2 giant mythical birds. Each measures about 90 feet long and weighs about 10,000 pounds.
Daisy Wang, thanks so much for your time today. I really learned a lot.
Thank you so much, and please come back.
I will, thank you. When we come back, I'll sit down with one of the few Asian Americans on the rock music scene, and he grew up right here in the Washington area. Plus, the inspiring story of 2 sisters who have one of the sweetest shops in D.C. Welcome back. You are looking at Xu Bing's Monkeys Grasp for the Moon. It's a piece that shows the word monkey in 21 different languages. This artwork is based on a folk tale about monkeys who tried to grasp the reflection of the moon in a pool of water. And of course, the fountain here represents that part of the story. Now we want to talk about a homegrown band that was started in a basement in Rockville. Richard An from OAR is one of the few Asian Americans on the rock music scene in the United States. While he tours around with the band around the country, he keeps his roots close to his heart. Even if you don't recognize his name, you likely know his music. Gaithersburg native Richard An is the guitarist for OAR, Of a Revolution, a band that's played together for nearly 2 decades to sell out crowds across the country.
It's interesting because we were friends first, and then all of a sudden things start getting serious, and it goes from a hobby to being your job. And you know, and when business gets involved with friendship, it gets tricky sometimes. But I think with us, we're brothers. You know, we fight and we bicker, but at the end of the day, we're still blood.
That kinship formed when the original members, including Richard, performed in their 8th grade talent show at Frost Middle School.
We played Porch by Pearl Jam, and we played a punk version of Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton.
From then on, they would play thousands of songs together. The band started playing officially as OAR in 1996 while they were still in high school at Wooten, developing their unique sound in the basement of the drummer's house in Rockville.
So when we all went to Ohio State, in our heads we were like, let's keep this band going. Did we tell our parents that? No. They know now. And we were slowly putting together a local following on campus, passing out CDs for free, playing anywhere and everywhere.
Through word of mouth and a cult following, OAR quickly rose to mainstream success. Richard's own success with OAR came with some growing pains, especially as the band went on tour.
People have said some ignorant things, or not even realize that I'm Asian. And I think touring this country made me realize how different the view was of Asian people in different pockets of the country.
His strong family identity provided him a foundation to endure any negativity on the road. His mother gave him a piece of jade that he wears during every performance, and that cultural talisman keeps him connected to home.
Someone threw something on stage, and the bottle hit me in the chest, and it cracked the jade off.
Oh my! Were you so mad?
I was really mad, but it was funny because jade is supposed to protect you.
Music was a big part of his culture and childhood.
I think when you're in an Asian household, you either play the piano or the violin.
Right.
And my aunt was a piano teacher, so free lessons.
But when his older brother introduced him to rock and roll, Richard was hooked.
I just remember him playing, was it Black Dog from Led Zeppelin? And I was just like, I'm not playing piano anymore, I want to play guitar.
Richard realized early on that guitar would be much more than a hobby for him, but his parents didn't figure it out until he was in college, and at first, they were nervous.
In an Asian family, there's a lot of pressure to be successful. And in their eyes, when you have parents who work their own small businesses, whether it's a convenience store or somewhere where they have to put a lot of hours in, and there's no retirement plan, there's no plan B, there's no backup plan, and they have to work all the way until the end to support themselves and their family.
Despite their reservations, his parents supported his dream, telling him happiness would help lead to success.
They're the biggest fans, the most amazing, embarrassing fans ever. They always come to Merriweather, and it becomes a huge family affair. I wanna go to heaven if I can't get in.
OAR is coming to Merriweather Post Pavilion on August 1st. Expect to see all of Richard On's family cheering in the front rows. Next, we want to introduce you to a Burmese-American woman who is a writer, a performer, a teaching artist, and a cultural worker. Her name is Simone Jacobson, and she says her poetry helped her discover her identity while growing up.
For me, poetry is voice. It's giving voice to stories that are otherwise underrepresented or outright silenced. Being Burmese American is very particular. I don't know very many others. It's not very similar to anything else that I've found. And I know that growing up I had very few educators of any color, definitely not Asian American. And I think that when you're working with students who are in a spoken word poetry class or any artistic discipline where identity is constantly at the core of any work that we're doing, just that initial visual recognition is powerful. I get to share works by poets and writers of lots of different backgrounds that won't come up in their curriculum. They're walking away with new understanding about the world. The medium is poetry, but they have a new understanding of their own identity and how those things are connected.
We're now in the tunnel that connects the Sackler Gallery to the Freer Gallery, and in this short journey you can check out an exhibit called Feast Your Eyes, a taste for luxury in ancient Iran. You can view some of the beautiful pieces made of metal. We'll check out one of the exhibits in the Freer coming up. Also ahead, meet a mother and son team bringing home-style Korean cuisine to 2 restaurants in Washington, D.C. See how they bring family food to their customers every day. Welcome back. We're now in the Freer Gallery in one of the corridors leading to many of the special exhibits here at Freer. We want to talk about food for a minute, though. Those who know food know you have to go to Annandale, Virginia to get good Korean food. But Mandu, with 2 locations in Washington, D.C., has given diners another option for good Korean cuisine. Mandu is a family-run restaurant, and with mom running the kitchen, it gives new meaning to home-style cooking.
I just put the spinach in at the last minute. So it keeps its color, still gets warm, but doesn't wilt too much.
Danny Lee's love affair with food began when he was a little boy.
You wanted to be a baker when you were a little kid. He wanted to open bakery shop.
I was obsessed with making cornmeal cookies when I was a kid.
That early obsession developed around the family's kitchen in Vienna, Virginia, inspired by the expertise of his mother, Yesun.
She was always cooking, and you know, if I wasn't, out with my friends playing sports or riding a bike around, I would be in the kitchen just watching her cook.
It wasn't long before his mother put him to work.
We had a lot of dinner parties at our house, and my mom would always make mandu, or dumplings, and you hand roll them.
The Lees likely made thousands upon thousands of mandu by hand over the years, and that labor of love became the namesake of their family dream.
Let's bring out our family food to the customer's table. That was the idea. So that I said, maybe that I could do. That's the story behind the restaurant.
Mandu opened in DuPont Circle in 2006 and expanded to a second location in Mount Vernon Triangle in 2011. Yesun is executive chef. Danny and his sister Jean run the restaurant operations. Initially,
the concept was it would be my mother's food in the kitchen, authentic home-style Korean food. And then since I was born in the States, we kind of be a culture clash within the restaurant with merging authentic Korean food with modern neighborhood American-style service.
That culture clash resonates with the immigrant experience for many Asian American families across the country. And like the Lees, food provides a nurturing and nourishing way to bridge the gap between cultures.
It's fun for us to teach them about the culture through food.
The family worked hard to keep Mandu true to their roots while attracting a broader clientele.
When we're menu planning, my sister and I were talking to my mom, like, oh, we love it when you made this, we love it when you made this. So it's just trying to figure out, it was a combination of us feeding her ideas of what our favorite childhood dishes were growing up in our household, with her knowledge of what could translate volume-wise, what could be replicated over and over again consistently.
That was a tall order. A lot of Korean dishes are passed down from generation to generation. There are no recipes, no measurements. Food is cooked through smell, taste, and feel.
It was a challenge, but I'm not the kind of person who worries, especially your son and your daughter helping you. I don't worry much.
Undaunted and unwavering, Yesun created recipes from memories of what her mother taught her in Korea and developed a menu for Mandu. The first one offered only 12 items. That has since more than doubled.
And even now, all the dishes that we have on our menu are dishes that we have fond memories of, as kids.
Danny and his mom collaborate on all the new menu items, but they don't always agree. At first, Yesun didn't think it was a good idea to put tteokbokki on the menu, but Danny convinced her, and now it's a popular item.
Now the Lee's customers ask for the spicy rice cake dish by name as they embrace the culture in harmony with the food.
Over the years, we've seen customers become more comfortable with that. Our regulars, you see, they'll bring in friends, and one regular will, instead of having everyone order individually, he will take charge or she will take charge and order everything for the table and they all share, and that's the Korean way to eat.
Danny and Yesun are considering expanding, perhaps not another Mandu location, but whatever they pursue, it will have a Korean theme. When we come back, the story of 2 Korean American sisters in search of the American dream, how they entered the chocolate business, not for money, but for family. That story is next. We're now in the beautiful Peacock Room here at the Freer, and this was originally a London dining room, and Freer bought it and installed it in his own home in Detroit and then brought it here to the museum. It's definitely one of the highlights here at the Freer and Sackler. Now, many Asians came to this country in search of the American dream, and here in Washington, two Korean American sisters are living the dream of their parents. They started a business not for money, but because they wanted to keep their family together after tragedy struck. Here's Angie Goff now with an inspiring immigrant story that's full of love and chocolate.
From first sight, first bite, first smell.
It's like a little piece of heaven.
It's a lot to take in at one of the sweetest spots in downtown D.C. But behind the bars, mouth-watering masterpieces, and endless sweets is an inspiring story, a family's true love affair with chocolate.
We didn't go into business to make $1 million. We went into business to keep our family together.
Ginger and Frances Park, self-proclaimed chocoholic sisters from the start, have been creating confections in the nation's capital for more than a quarter century.
After our father passed away, we decided we wanted to stay together, and the best way to do that was to go into business.
30 years ago, these daughters of Korean immigrants opened Washington's first independent chocolate shop, a decision influenced by the family's past, particularly their mother's. As a young child, she was forced to flee her native North Korea during the war.
Our grandmother gave her a pouch of silk and said, "Only part with this silk to spare your life."
She made it to the South alive, but soon bombs were raining over Seoul. Tired of hiding, their mother took that precious silk through the streets in chaos to trade it in for the one thing she loved, chocolate.
She took the chocolate bars back to her house, hid under the burlap blankets again, and vowed, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die with chocolate in my mouth.
Decades later, a family atmosphere lives on in this little shop that could.
I love it.
That first year we were in business, we definitely ate more chocolate than we sold.
At first, the sisters struggled, but always turned to the words of their late father.
Our dad always told us that only in America, if you have a dream, you can make it happen if you work hard.
When things were slow, they kept their spirits up by writing the experiences down.
We thought, let's write little vignettes about our customers.
There were stories like Our Girl Friday, a woman with a blonde bob, red coat, black patent leather heels, who came in every Friday and ordered a 2-piece box of chocolate like this for her and her lover. One Friday, she didn't show up, but he did.
He buys the box, opens it up, eats the 2 chocolates inside, and puts a diamond ring inside.
Little did the sisters know that 25 years later, short stories like that would be revisited in their memoir, Chocolate, Chocolate. In fact, the chocolatiers have co-authored 9 books, including one about their mother's flight from North Korea. Their newest book, Allergies Away, about kids with allergies, was just released.
We wanted to keep all those memories, and the only way to do it was to write about it. Cool.
When they're not writing, Frances and Ginger are always working. And after all these years, some things never change.
We get here at 11 o'clock. By 11:01, Ginger's into the chocolate.
Just as consistent, the customers who keep coming back.
If I don't come in for a week, they send me an email asking me if I'm okay. So they're kind of like family, which is really nice.
That's an English toffee.
I'm gonna take that too.
Perhaps a feeling sweeter than anything for sale here that's become the secret to this shop's success.
Somehow we've maintained, and it truthfully has everything to do with sisterhood and just the passion for what we do. We absolutely love our chocolate shop.
Angie Goff, News 4.
Thanks so much for joining us from the Smithsonian's Freer and Sackler galleries today. For more information, head to NBCWashington.com and search Asian American Heritage. See you next time.